dum 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 woodcutter dum 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 woodcutter.
My pronouns are they, them, and I'm Cliffside Permaculture. Do you remember these two pieces of nearly impenetrable rock-like soil from a couple shed wars ago? These are the same, and look, a good soaking rain. And they're right back to being dirt again. That is clay loam. Here's the other one, the one that cracked off a piece that looked like a rock. It's still kind of stiff, but definitely not a rock anymore. Brittle, but not a rock.
And that is what happens when clay loam gets rehydrated from its fully dehydrated state. And a good portion of why breaking up soil while it's heavily saturated in clay loam is not advised. Is that all the clumps? I don't know. I'll just keep working on it. All right. On to the next thing.
This is wild. This spot right here didn't get the rain, and the soil is still much more rock-like than the pieces that did get some bit of soaking. Wow. Yeah, that I can barely... That I feel like I'd have to hit it with a hammer almost to really bust it up.
But as you can see, it's not a rock, as much as it looks and honestly feels like it at first. Sideways crumbling motion shows otherwise, and then right underneath it, exact same stuff, much easier to break. Because it got rained. Got watered, basically. That's wild. Very, very big difference. Alright, I hope that was a good illustrator of how clay loam can behave in the garden setting. See you soon.
For Shed Wars, I am required to have a potted plant and a reminder as to how harsh my soil can get when it dries out, if it's exposed enough to dry out the whole way through as it is in a pot. I am a small nursery. I produce all of my soil products on site or tapped from waste streams, such as, I'll put wood chips at the bottom of this. And I need all the soil product that I produce for something other than a vegetable for Shed Wars. So I know that this by itself in a pot equals death to plants, because if it dries out at all, this is a ball of soil, but look at how brittle. I can't crush it, you see. Once it rehydrates, it'll go back to being nice and crumbly like this, but it's not pot compatible. Like, this is just not great soil for potting, because if it even dries out enough that the edges get crusty, you've got like a cement ball on your hands. So what I'm gonna do to try and mitigate this is mix some ash out of the bottom of my fire pit into the soil that I'm putting in here. Another thing is, a larger pot retains water better. You've probably noticed that my nursery stock is all kept in sockets in the ground. This is a pot-in-pot style of nursery. I hope I was in frame for showing you that. Let's just do it once more. This is a pot-in-pot style nursery, which means the pots are, and the plants are rooting through in a lot of cases, but the idea is that being sunk in the ground like this, they don't lose as much moisture. But I'm told that for Shed Wars, that's not a potted plant. because we're focused apparently on people, well, I mean, like the whole goal stated is that someone with just a patio can still do this. So, all this soil is my surplus product right now, but soil isn't potting soil. But soil with like sort of kind of biochar might not be as bad. I still might kill it, might not, but probably will. I do always put at least a few inches of wood chips across the bottom, and I'll be honest, I'm going as harsh on this as I can to see what limits I can push. I don't think I want the leaves in there. But I'm also picking a very harshness compatible plant to go in here. We'll talk about that a little later on. Today, maybe not today. But I'm hoping that these components that I can spare, see, that's an actual chunk of wood, and that'll help the soil not dry out. It'll keep it better draining too, because the compaction of this soil is also a pretty intense outcome. So this is basically biochar
with ash. And I'm mixing it in with just plain, heavy clay loam soil. Which is great soil to have in general. Retains moisture pretty well. But once it decides it's done retaining moisture, that is all there is to it. It is done. And it becomes a complete rock. So, hopefully this mixture won't be too terrible. I do need to dredge the fire pit again, and I haven't used up, well, the wintertime isn't a good time to use up fire pit dredge, but it's a good time for producing it, so that's probably not going to hurt the supply chain on site.
So let's talk about why I don't want to import soil product, huh? Seems maybe, there we go, seems maybe a little bit not quite what everybody's doing, you know, right? Most people buy soil in a plastic bag or brought by a whole lot of fossil fuel use. And I'm a native plants focused, as eco as I possibly can be, small nursery in the making. So those are not things that I want to do. That is why I instead use broken down wood chips and this biochar as a potting soil mixture. From science, I've also been able to reclaim a limited amount of vermiculite, which is packing for pyrophoric chemicals. That word means it blows up when exposed to air. So whenever orders like that go in, it comes in vermiculite, and I have gotten a very small amount because those aren't things that most places order regularly. But it is a no waste way. The chemicals aren't exposed to it. The chemicals are fully enclosed, and the vermiculite's just packed around it. So I will plant a plant in here, and then I'll top it off with more wood chips so that it doesn't lose the moisture. The size of the pot is also not going to lose moisture as quickly as a little guy, or even this guy, which fits right inside. So there's still plenty of light, so we can start going and digging out the vegetable that I've been referencing to. And that's biochar. It's charred wood. And that's all biochar is. It's just charred wood without any chemicals in it. So, all right. Next piece. See you there. Okay, it's vegetable reveal time. There's my vegetable. Ha! Alright, so what we're going to be doing is digging out the daylilies that are in my walkway. And this is an edible perennial permaculture vegetable. The roots, once they plump up, which I think we'll get to see at least one plumped up one. These are a little bit choked out by having been under about a foot of wood chips here. But the roots are like French fries. Early spring, the greens are good cooked greens. They're very tolerant of all sorts of growing conditions. And in midsummer, those orange blooms on them taste like beans and are very good in a stir fry as well. Plus, I have a whole bunch coming up that I tried to smother. So whatever I don't manage, see that, to remove, or what I don't manage to fit in the pot rather, we'll have a little cookout. So I can show you that these are indeed a vegetable. And not an easy one to get out of the ground. They're not easy to smother because this is rooted in underneath an entire foot of wood chips. Whoops, see? Cooked greens for later. Alright, and here's your designated tip of this video. Go down into the description box below and take a look at an article I'm posting on edibility of daylilies and a link to a video I have on how to identify what is a daylily. Make sure you're selecting the correct species of lily. Many lilies are quite toxic. And don't forget that lilies are dangerous for cats, so keep them away from your cats. Okay, make sure you expand that description box below and have a look before you decide to go munching on your lilies, because it could cause problems. Thanks so much. There we go. So you can see they were originally growing at this level, and now, after being under wood chips as long as they have, they've sent up shoots the whole way through, and they don't care what I want. They're gonna grow. That is how a daylily do. Hopefully that's not a copyrighted statement. Jeez. Much love to Z Frank of True Facts. He's got a YouTube. You should check it out if you have not seen True Facts videos at this point, though. Who the heck hasn't? Yep. So this is the situation here, as you can see.
It's not easy to get these out. And I'm probably gonna have to re-wood chip a lot of this after doing so, but I was gonna have to re-wood chip it anyway. So yeah, that's how a daylily responds to being buried in a ton of soil, or a ton of wood chips. So I'm gonna have to wash these real good before I'm eating them. Get as much of this daylily debris out of here so it doesn't just regrow anyway. It probably still will. I definitely need to bring in more wood chips now, for sure. So these continue right on down, but the most important ones, and let me just show you, because there's a bunch, and I've already harvested that much. Sorry about the highway noise. Yeah, so I've already harvested a lot. But the most important ones I want to get out are the ones that are going to be blocking my stairwell. We'll keep chomping these ones. There's one. That one didn't come out with its subroot system, and there's nowhere to dig for it either. Yes.
They aren't invasive. They don't spread by seed, at least. And they are already in this area very heavily. My neighbor actually gave me divides of this plant 17 years ago. And I put some of them on the cliff. And lately I've been planting them in the French drain. So they grow in sand, they grow in piles of rocks. They don't care what conditions you give them, they're gonna grow. Which is why I think they're a perfect candidate for a potted plant. In this case, I think the small ones are gonna be my potted plant installment, and the big ones are gonna be like immediate food. So let's go plant these ones right here. Okay, let's plant them.
I don't like that. Put this one like this. There we go. Yep. And this one. And I brought over a bunch of wood chips because I did say I always mulch the top.
And these are from a program called Chip Drop, CHIPDROP, which if it's in your region, you can sign up for free wood chip delivery. You don't really get a choice in what kind of wood chips. You only get a full load, and they are fresh wood chips. They have transformed my garden. Really, really amazing stuff. Given me the option to garden with mushrooms, and given me a mud-free front social space here, which we're in, that I can just walk all over and not worry about like killing the grass because it's so muddy and I'm stepping on it and it's settling in and compacting the soil real bad. And I don't have to worry about mud coming through the grass, and I don't have to worry about mowing either. Got a bit of Dutch clover coming through, which is good for the nitrogen balance, but yeah. Fresh wood chips don't really have the downsides, the sides that the myths proclaim, and are amazing for gardening. So there's my potted plant. And just to show how beastly this sucker is, I'm not going to do anything else to it. That's just going to be its existence. So thank you so much for visiting the cliffside. This has been Permaculture. And a potted plant for Shed Wars. So hope that little insight as to the resource wasting and oftentimes chemicals that goes into purchasing soil those are the reasons that I don't. And my alternatives are things I've started to show you and I'll continue to show you. But I just wanted to give you the preliminary and a look at why my garden dirt, at the very least, and many types of garden dirt, are not potting soil. And here's the outcome. Cooked greens, cooked roots, rice, and a little bit of soy sauce from the skillet. Crunchy. Flavorful. Yep. Daylilies. Yay. Okay, bye. Dun, dun, dun. Will it grow? It won't grow.